Hi, fashionistas. It's Nicole, personal stylist for pageant contestants and women executives. And today I'm going to be going over the looks from the Miss Cosmo grand finale. I'm going to be going over the looks that the top 10 contestants wore for the grand finale. And these are ranked in order from an ascending order from my least favorite to my favorite, being number one. And if you're a pageant contestant preparing to compete in a pageant, please make sure to check out my services, and I'll put the link to my website in the description. So that way you can see how my services can save you time and money and help you to be on brand for your pageant while still maintaining authenticity and truly standing out from amongst the rest. So without further ado, here is the list. So at number 10, I have Thailand. Now, the reason why I put Thailand at number 10, mind you, this was a beautiful gown and I love the color combination. It kind of reminded me of fire or flames, and the cape made it look very regal. However, I just felt like this cape combination with the gown was overly done at this particular pageant. I saw this a lot and it really didn't stand out to me. And I also didn't too much care for seeing her undergarments from underneath the gown, as it was see-through. And that's a trend I saw a lot this year, was the see-through gowns where you could see the contestants' undergarments. I wasn't a big fan of that. To me, it's not tasteful. However, I did like that she paired this with a sleek updo, given that she did have a cape on, high neck cape. It really enhanced the gown, and her makeup was flawless and very well coordinated with her look. So next up is Panama. I love the neckline on this gown. It was very unique, kind of looked like flames, and I love that red shade on her. It really contrasted well against her fair skin tone, and she seemed to walk with ease in this gown, and it's not hard to see why. The gown didn't look like it was heavy, and then plus it had the split going up the front, and typically splits make it a little bit easier to walk because your movement isn't as constricted because you don't have as much material constricting your legs. And it was a very beautiful shade. However, to me, it came across looking just a little bit unfinished at the bottom with all the negative space or flesh color that was throughout the gown. Number 8 is Columbia. And this is an example of illustration or storytelling through a gown. Now, mind you, all the gowns tell a story, but this one was a little bit more obvious. It looked like flames. You could actually see flames in the train that was attached to the gown, and the gown was actually the color of flames. And it appeared as if it represented a phoenix rising. So maybe this was her redemption story, coming from ashes or trials and tribulations and rising to the occasion, which I thought was very beautifully told. And the colors looked great on her, and it really dazzled and shined beautifully on stage, and it commanded attention. However, to me, it came across looking a little costumish, especially given the fire flames neckline, which, like I said, was way, I may not have said this, but to me, the flame neckline was way overly done in pageants this year, and it came across looking costumish and not chic, like what you would expect for an evening gown portion. However, the gown it was very figure flattering, and I like how the beading was strategically placed across the hips, and it went vertically up on her waist, really giving her an hourglass-like shape and enhancing her figure. But like I said, the overall look was just too costumish for me. Number 7, Zimbabwe. So the red looked great on her, and I like that she had her hair up. I'm just a sucker for updos when it comes to certain evening gowns. To me, it just really draws the attention to your face and the gown. It's not distracting, but I digress. And it was nicely beaded up at the top, and it had the feathers at the bottom, which gave her fluidity in her every step. However, to me, the gown was a bit underwhelming. It really didn't stand out, and it wasn't very memorable. I mean, it looked like one that she probably could have gotten away with wearing at prelims. As a matter of fact, I feel like what she wore for prelims looked better than what she had on for finals. So I wasn't really all that impressed. Number 6, Vietnam. So this really gave luxury and rich vibes given the gold color. And when she stepped out on stage, the gown did all the talking. It shined on all the right places, and it was a very subtle, muted gown. However, to me, it was a bit safe. And I did read that she said the gown represented the moon, and that was very appropriate given that this is Miss Cosmo, you know, the cosmic galaxy, the moon is in the galaxy, and that the moon gives off soft lighting, hence why this gown was more of a muted tone. But like I said, it was safe and it didn't stand out. I was not wowed when she stepped out on stage. Number 5, Cuba. Again, we see another beaded gown with the cape attached. The reason, and again, we saw that a lot throughout this particular pageant, especially this color combination, the silver and blue, which I get it, that's Cosmo's colors, but just because it's Cosmo's colors doesn't necessarily mean that your gown has to match the pageant's colors. Really, your gown should be a combination of colors that complement you and colors that are representational of who you are. But maybe these are, I don't know. I digress. But anyways, this gown was overly done. However, I do feel like the gown looked great on her. It was very figure flattering and it flowed very well on stage, and it really dazzled underneath the stage lighting beautifully. And I love that she had her hair up again because of the neckline, the high cape neckline. It really complemented the gown well. And it gave her, like, the heavily bejeweled neckline gave her, along with the cape, gave her a very regal look. But again, this gown was overly done at this pageant. So number 4 is USA. Now this gown dazzled beautifully on stage, and it was in a beautiful ruby red. It kind of reminded me of Dorothy's ruby red slippers. I don't know, these beaded red gowns remind me of Dorothy's ruby red slippers if they're in ruby red. And the train was beautiful. However, it made the dress look heavy in my opinion. And when she walked, I don't know, the train just gave her walk a bit of heaviness to it. I feel like she could have gotten away with not having the train attached to the gown, or it could have been in like a lighter material like organza or chiffon, not this tulle material. And the dress kind of reminded me of the gown that Miss Universe Venezuela wore for the Miss Universe pageant this year. It was also another heavily beaded gown that had a lot going on. But in USA's case, it was a beautiful gown, but like I said, the train kind of took away from the gown to me. 3, Brazil. This gown was made for movement and drama. The illustration base creates a barely there effect, while the electric blue embellishment sculpts the body from the neckline straight through the hips, elongating her frame beautifully. The fringe sleeves are the real moment here. Every step, every arm extension created fluid motion, which is exactly what you want on the final stage. This gown doesn't just sparkle, it performs. It's bold, modern, undeniably Cosmo-coded. Number 2, Myanmar. This was such a unique gown. I don't think I've seen one like it. It's obvious that she was going for a cosmic galaxy look here, which was very appropriate given that this is Miss Cosmo. The colors all harmonize beautifully, and it dazzled and danced on stage. Absolutely gorgeous. And then she had like a metallic gold, or it might have been yellow, that looked like stars that were interwoven throughout the galaxy pattern on her gown. This was a true stunner, and the colors looked great on her. And it was a statement piece that was done right. This is a lesson on how to rock a statement dress and not overdo it. And I noticed that she didn't have any embellishments like a boa or a cape or a train, because she didn't need one. The gown already said a lot by itself. But this was beautifully done, and if you're going to consider a statement gown, take lessons from Myanmar, in that with the right beading, right color, you can rock a statement gown, command attention, and not look flamboyant. And number 1, the Philippines. She looked like she shined bright like a diamond as soon as she stepped on stage. Now I know she had her big reveal. She had the train that was covering up the dress at first, and she took it off, and that was the moment. This gown is the definition of timeless elegance. The silver crystal work is immaculate, refined, precise, and incredibly luxurious. I love how the clean column silhouette allows the craftsmanship to shine without distraction, and the soft structure throughout the bodice creates a statuesque effect, and the subtle shimmer reads expensive on camera. This is a classic pageant glamour done right, polished, poised, and effortlessly regal. And I also like the added touch of the flower that she put in her hair, as well as her makeup, the bright red lip up against the metallic, beautifully done. So let me know in the comments, who was your favorite look from the Miss Cosmo 2025 grand finale? And if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And that's all for now, but stay tuned for plenty more episodes in the future. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.